Good afternoon. Let's begin with a prayer. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost. Amen. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity of serving you in whatever capacity you have given us to work for you. We ask you that you help us to do our best for you and to always do so with a humble heart. We ask this in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen. Well, good afternoon. My name is Eduardo Cortright, and I'll be talking to you about this new application that we've developed for the Creative Services Department to keep track of job requests. And let me just start out by talking a little bit about the application. Some of you are already familiar with it or have heard about it. What is it? It's basically, it's a web application. So it's an application that you're going to be accessing through your web browser. There's many applications that you already access on the internet, such as Twitter, Facebook, and so forth. Those are all web applications. And this one is specifically for tracking job requests. There's other names for this kind of application. Some of them might be workflow. Some people might call it a ticketing system, just tasks, job requests, and so forth. It's intended to help people keep track of certain things. First thing is who's working on what, who has, what are people working on? Is somebody overloaded versus somebody not, and so forth. So it'll help managers to keep track of who's working on what. Another thing is it'll keep track of deadlines. It'll notify people about events happening and what's coming up due. And it also is intended to allow capturing the details that go back and forth between people, like you are given a task to do, and then you have a question. You can call somebody up on the phone and ask for the details, and that gets lost. The application is intended to let you ask the question through the application, then get an answer through the application. So all that gets recorded, and you can always go back and refer to it. And if there's always a need for clarifying things, you can always go back. Well, you told me this because I see it right here, right? So the application is still a work in progress. We're still building it. We're still really designing it because a lot of things are not clear until you actually start using it and you figure out what your needs are, right? So some of the things that we're talking about may change a little bit, not probably drastically, but some things may change a little bit, and I'll talk a little bit about some of those things that might change. Next question is, how do you access it? Where is it? And it's right here. It's you'll see that it's at a web host that is on the EWTN network, but it's accessible from anywhere on the web, anywhere in the world if you really want to. Notice that it's HTTPS. And the reason for that is that HTTPS is a secure protocol. So anytime you're going to be logging into an account, which is what you'll be doing here, your password should be encrypted so it's not traveling in clear text. There's, I'd say, very little chance that anybody's going to intercept your password, but if they do, they will be able to get into this system, and people sometimes use the same password for different accounts. So if they know your name, they might be able to try your same password on other services that you subscribe to. So we completely want to avoid that kind of thing. So we're going to use HTTPS. Unfortunately, HTTPS comes with a few problems right here within EWTN. And because it is accessible from anywhere on the web, we want it to be secure. But we want to put a few limitations on it too. As far as the local interaction between HTTPS, any secure connection that uses SSL, HTTPS, another name for SSL is TLS. All that is the same thing. It's just secure encrypted communication over the web. Unfortunately, within EWTN we have WebSense, and everything goes through WebSense. When you think you're going to Google, you're actually going to WebSense, and WebSense is going to Google for you. It's a proxy, basically. So unfortunately, WebSense can interfere with that because WebSense will time out, and your machine is programmed to automatically log you back into WebSense every 10 minutes, basically. On some machines, especially Mac computers, that doesn't work. So WebSense will time out, you'll be logged out, and you'll be typing in information. You submit your information, and the browser says, web page not available. You're not connected to this website. So it's a nuisance, but you can work around it a little bit. Some workarounds are these. The scenario might be you're working on typing and entering a request, lots of information, you're typing. You might get distracted by a phone call, and then you say, oh my goodness, WebSend's probably timed out while I was on the phone, right? So before you submit the form, the thing you should do is just open up a new tab on your browser, go to EWTN.com. If WebSend did time out on you, it'll ask you to log in. So you type in your credentials, log in, then you can kill that tab, go back to the application, and then submit. And that's all you need to do. If you forget and you just submit the form and say, oh, I'm ready to go, submit, save, then it might at that point say website not available or whatever. It should be, the thing to do at that point is don't panic. Try to hit the back button on your browser and then, oops, hit the back button on your browser and then do the same steps over again. Go back, so it should take you to what you had typed into your form. Then open up a tab, go to EWTN.com, log in, kill the tab, and then submit. That should be all you need. And if you run into a lot of problems with this, let me know, and we'll try to figure something else out. Okay, so everybody will be having trouble with this. Okay, to use the application, you're going to need to create an account. So you need to register. It's just like a lot of websites that I'll ask you to register. It's exactly the same process. So how do you register for an account? You're going to use your EWTN email. It will not accept any arbitrary email like your Gmail or your Yahoo email. And it's because it's accessible for anybody, to anybody in the world. So we don't want just anybody registering for an account here. So it'll check that you're within EWTN. OK, so let's see if we can go to this site. So if you go to online.ewtn.com/workorders, let me click on the it's a potential security concern, sorry. I'll tell you what, let's just go ahead and say yes. OK, notice that this is the login page. When you go there, you just get the login page. But we can't log in, of course. We don't have an account. So I have this email address that I can check the email for. So we'll register as that user. OK, so you don't click login. You click on the sign up button at the bottom. So you're signing up for the first time. OK, so I'm going to use this email, which is basically I'm kind of using something we have for something else. Your extension is required. It's just your phone extension. So let's just put that in. Your password, the only restriction is it has to be at least 8 characters. We didn't put any fancy restrictions. We can if we have any problems, but we try to make it as easy as possible. OK, so you're going to click on sign up, right? If you click log in, that means you already have an account, but we don't. So click sign up, which is what we want to do. You should get a message saying, a message with a confirmation link has been sent to your email address. So at that point, you leave your browser, and you go to check your email. And we should have an email if everything went well. If it did not go well, that might be an occasion for, OK, we're not getting an email. Well, this is a possibility. Sometimes these emails get intercepted by filters and stuff like that. If this happens, you can tell it to resend the email. Let's do that now. If it intercepted it right now, it's likely that it won't. Let's click on this resend confirmation instructions link here. You notice that these links at the bottom are for this kind of situation where you've tried to do something and you forgot your password. Well, you could click on this link and it would send you an email giving you a link you would click on to reset your password. Okay, so it'll take you to the application where you can type in a new password. It can be the same password, by the way. It doesn't have to be a new one every time. So if you just forgot it and it's not letting you in, you can always do reset password, type your old password, and it should take it. Right. Let's click on this resend. You have to type your email. I may have typed the wrong email address. I hope not. So it'll tell you at this point. OK, so that was the email address I used. Otherwise, it would have told me there's no such address. So let's see if let's see if my email is actually coming through. And if it's not coming through, it's not a terrible thing, but I would like you guys to see the email. Oh, I know. I'm looking in the wrong place. No wonder. Oh, OK. Like I said, this is not my email. It's one I'm using for other purposes. Here it is. Now notice, I wanted to show you this. You notice that the email came from workorders at online.ewtn.com, right? So expect those emails to be coming into your inbox. Okay, so notice that the email is just a simple link. You can confirm your account through the link below. So let's just click on that. And that takes us back to the login page. And it says your account was successfully confirmed. You should see that at the top, and that is an indication that you're free to log in now and use the password that the password that you use. So let's log in, and I'm in. Okay. Now, what we're going to come back to the application. I'm basically going to finish the rest of the information that I have in the slides, and then after that, things I think will make a little more sense, and then we'll go through the application, and you can ask some questions. What I did want to do is, for those of you that are going to be managing other users, in other words, you're going to have people under you, one important thing is when anybody signs up, they need to tell you. They can send you an email or whatever, and let you know that they've registered for an account. Because once you register, notice that my screen here, all I can do is create a new project. Okay, we'll see what that means in a second. But basically, you're not in the system as a worker or an implementer. You're in the system as a requester. Anybody in EWTN can be a requester. Okay, so you don't have any special status here. You need to ask your manager, your supervisor, to set you up as a member of his or her team. Right. So let me do that real quick. I'm going to make this user a, let's see, this other browser. Okay, that'll be good. Okay, I'm going to log in as a manager. Not like that. Okay, and now managers will scroll down all the way to the bottom and go to the admin section and look at the users. Again, most of you will not be doing this. This is just for managers to do. So you find the user, and here he is at the bottom. So you're going to edit that user and set him up for the area that he belongs to. So it might be on-air graphics, you put him in the TV area. If he's in promotions, you put him on promo and so forth. So you just check that off and save him off. That's important because you won't be able to assign any tasks to that new user unless he's got an area, right? So let me do that. All right, so let's go back to the presentation. And then, like I said, I'll just finish with the material, just the basics of the application, and then I'll give you a chance to ask any questions that you may have. So now we've signed up. You will get the confirmation email. And you can always resend the email, as we did. And then your account can get locked also. If you try to log in too many times, it will lock you out. It's very generous. It lets you log in like 20 times before it locks you out. So you should never have any problem with that. It's only for automated, bots that try to see if they can get into the site somehow by trying all kinds of different variations. So you can also send yourself an unlock email if your account ever gets locked. Right? When you sign in, your session will time out after 30 minutes. So if you just sign in, don't do anything, come back after 30 minutes, and you try to do something, it'll take you back to the login page. Okay? That's just, again, because you could technically, I'm sure you're never going to do this, but you could go to a public library, log into the application, and just walk away, right? So after half an hour, nobody will be able to use your session. Okay? All right. Again, just basic security. It's not, I don't expect that it's really absolutely going to be used. Okay. The application is expecting to classify people into kind of 3 types. First one will be the requester, and that's when I signed up just now, I became a requester. And anybody that has an EWTN email account can be a requester. Right? Anybody from somebody that does maintenance to somebody who's a producer or somebody's Doug Keck or something like that. Right? So, so the requester will be asking for creative services, things, images, brochures, on-air graphics, and so forth. A manager is a supervisor. And of course, a manager manages projects. And the manager will be assigning tasks to different people to get those tasks done. Managers have superpowers. In other words, they can actually go in and change things. If somebody made a request, they can actually go edit the request and completely change it. So of course, you expect as they say, with great power comes great responsibility. So you expect a manager not to just go in and just willy-nilly changing everything around, right? Because part of this system is to record what was requested by whom and when, and so you can go back and just have a record of that. Because sometimes there are ambiguities and errors happen. So it's always good to keep the record. You want to keep that as it was as much as possible. An implementer, or if you want to call them a worker, or well, basically that, an implementer or a worker is a person that's actually under a supervisor, under a manager, actually doing the work. And those are the people that are going to have tasks assigned to them. Those will have a limited ability to make changes. Managers are the ones that can change things, the definition of the request from completely. Implementers are basically expected to perform the work and then ask questions, possibly, although that's not implemented yet, possibly change the status of a request. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. OK, what do I mean by task? What do I mean by projects? A project is basically a container. It's a grouping of tasks that are related to a certain single thing. It could be a series, or it could be an event, anything like that. So anything that has graphics or creative tasks related to it. So for instance, let's say there's a new series that requires printed brochures, on-air graphics, a promo, and a few web banners. So all of those tasks would be grouped under a single project, probably named with the same name as the series or something like that. A task will be just an individual request. So perhaps a promo, or a brochure, or business cards, or whatever it is. Okay, and the request will be specific to the particular area that you work in. The project will contain tasks from multiple areas. So it's an umbrella, basically. So how is this going to work? Basically, a requester is going to log in and create a project. Anybody can create a project. Then he will add a specific task under that project. I'm assuming there will be a lot of projects that just have one single task in them. But there are projects that might have a bunch, right? So it could be dozens of tasks for the same project. So think of the project as a general container, and then the tasks are the individual things that the individual people are going to be doing. So you don't assign a project to anybody, but you do assign the tasks within that project to different people. The manager sees all the active projects and will review them and then assign the tasks. Okay? The manager is probably going to be notified that there's a new project, and we'll examine each task and see, well, this is ready to, I've got all the information we need here, so I'm going to assign it to X. Or the manager may say, well, you're asking for something, but you're not giving me what I need to complete the task. So he might send a notification to the requester and say, please complete this other information. Okay? Managers can also, because anybody can create a project, you might be trying to create the same thing that's already been created by somebody else. So managers can move tasks from one project to another, or completely merge one project into another. So you might feel free to create any projects you need to. The manager is going to see that and say, well, this is the same as this, so let's just move everything under that. Okay? Okay. And the implementer is basically just going to do the work, right? Okay. A task is going to be born, grow, not have children. Well, maybe they would have children. I don't know. They will have a life cycle, right? And the way you keep track of where the task is along its life cycle is the status. So the status is just a marker. So it's going to change from new to in progress, from in progress to complete, from complete to perhaps on hold or waiting for feedback. These stages are defined by the managers. Okay, so it's basically different areas may have different stages that they go through. Okay, but it's a way for people to say, well, I wonder I made a request a week ago. I wonder what's up with that. So they'll just go look up the request and they'll say, well, it's in progress. Oh, okay, that's good. If it's not in any status, they might say, well, somebody has not seen my request, right? So that would be a good indicator of that. And statuses are also used for change control. It's a very basic mechanism. If a task doesn't have when a task gets created for the first time, it will not have any status. At that point, the requester can make any changes they want. And But when the manager sees the task and picks it up and says, oh, this is ready to go, the manager will give a status to it. At that point, the original requester can no longer make changes, right? Because again, you want to kind of freeze in time the request and say, this is what they asked for, so that's what we're going to give them. And if at some point in time there's a change, then it has to be recorded in the system, right? That something changed and the original request no longer is exactly the same as it was. It's very important not to, and not that anybody would do that on purpose, of course. You wouldn't like create a request and say once it's assigned to somebody, say, oh, it's approved. Now I can get away with changing it to something else that they didn't think of. Nobody's going to do that, but it could happen by accident that you go in and make a change, and then somebody doesn't notice that there's been a change. So the way that's going to work is you create your request. Once it's been assigned, it's going to be given a status. It's frozen, but you can always add more to it to say, hey, there's a change. Please note that I said this, but it's changed, so now we really need that. Okay? And so the idea is for the managers and the implementers to be notified, to be aware that there's been a change, so that something doesn't fall through the cracks. Okay, the requester, when he creates a task, I think I already said all this, will have no status, will save it, and then that person can keep coming back and making changes, adding stuff, and so on. When the manager sees the new task, the task will receive a status, then the requester can no longer make changes. Okay? So what if you need a change? Well, that's where task comments come in. Okay? Basically, the task comments will capture a conversation between the requester and the manager and the implementers. So if something changes from your original request, that's the time for a comment to say, hey, I need something different here. Or the name of the series has been officially changed from this to that, something like that. Right? When you make a comment, you can delete your own comment if you repent of having made that comment, or you can go in and make changes if you want to. If you do make changes, though, the system will actually notify people of the change, so to make them aware, right? And the comment will be highlighted to show that it's been edited. Again, the idea is not to, the only idea is for people to notice that there's been a change, right? Okay, just so it doesn't fall through the cracks. And anybody can add comments. So certain tasks also have the ability for you to upload files to them. So basically like email attachments. And it's basically just the related material that the implementer is going to need to complete the task. Also, the implementer could use that as a mechanism to get the requested material back to the requester, if they so choose. So for instance, if you're in graphics and they ask for an image as a JPEG, then you create the image and you might upload it to the request and you're done. You don't have to do anything after that because they can get it from there. Okay? You would put a comment though. You would put a comment saying, I've attached the image to the request. The attachment can be anything. It could be a Word document, a PDF, an image, text file, zip file, anything you want. Okay? Try not to make it like a 19 gigabyte film or something like that, because you will overwhelm the server. Okay. And again, anybody can add an attachment, so there's no limitations on that. Only people that can change the request can delete attachments. So typically you'll be able to add them, but not delete them, not even if you added them. Okay? But a manager can always come in and delete it. So you could always say, put a comment and say, hey, I uploaded the wrong thing. Can you please delete it? And your manager can do that very easily. Okay. So who can make changes? Basically the manager always. And then the requester can do that as long as the request has not been picked up and given a status. Okay? All right. I think this is about the final thing here. As I said, you want people to be aware that something's changed, something's arrived. So when a task is added to a project, then the managers for that area will get an email. When a task changes status, then whoever requested the task and whoever has that task assigned to them will get an email. And when a task is assigned to somebody, of course, the person that is assigned the task will get an email, as well as the requester, so that they know their task is progressing. It's been assigned to somebody. And of course, you will get an email when somebody adds a comment, somebody edits or deletes a comment. And the comment itself will be in the email. But all these emails will also have a link where you can just click on the link. It'll take you directly to that request. So you shouldn't have to be logging in, and well, you will have to log in if you're logged out, but you don't have to find the request and drill down to it. Okay, so pretty much everybody will get an email except the person who sent it. All right. Okay, with that, let's just go to the application and just go through a few of the screens and log in and see what that might look like. And at this point, feel free to just raise your hand, ask a question, because I pretty much covered everything. I wanted to make sure I covered at least those basics. I'm going to log in as an implementer. And yes, I believe we have to wait for the microphone to come to you.
What kinds of tasks do we have to use this system for? I mean, can I no longer call somebody up and just say, hey, I need a photo, or you know what I'm saying? What? That's
correct. That's basically the intent. I'm imagining it'll take some time for people to sort of migrate to using this system full scale. But yeah, that's the idea, that you will not call anybody up or send somebody an email. You log in here and create a request, and they will automatically be notified that somebody's added a request.
Is there a way to give something a high priority status?
Well, right now, no. It's up to the managers. They will basically triage the requests that are coming in and say, well, this is what we need to work on now. And so, like I said, the system I'm assuming will evolve over time, but right now, no. It's a very simple system.
Would that be something you put in the comments? This is high priority. You put that in the comments. Would that be something you put in the comments? This is a high priority.
Certainly, you can always a lot of these tasks have notes fields that you can just enter. This is really high priority. Please note. So yes.
And I have a question also.
Yeah.
This may be something to think about for the future, but if someone else, you were talking about projects and then different tasks, within the project, and different people may request different items, but it may be that somebody else has requested something that I could use. For example, Michelle may have requested an image to put on Facebook. We might be able to take that same image and send it out as an email blast. So if there's some way for us to know that somebody else is also working on something and that we could dovetail with that, that would be really helpful.
Sure. All of that is possible. Like I said, right now it's a very simple application, so it's not really, how can I say this? Right now it's intended for the managers to do that kind of coordination. But yeah, we can certainly try to make it as useful for as many people as possible. Yes, that's a good idea. One of the things we worry about at this point is, since it does send out notifications, we try to limit that so it's not bombarding the world with saying, hey, somebody did this, somebody did that. But yeah, that's definitely something to strive for. Marie?
Eduardo, on that same note, maybe there could be a pull-down menu where the person creating the task would be able to see what jobs have already been created. Like if they press down, they can kind of see which tasks or which projects have already been created.
Yes, we can. Yeah, we'd have to sit down and figure out how best to do that, just to make sure that everybody. Yeah, we can talk about that. Yes.
And then, as far as an urgent thing, I wonder if after they do the work order, they get on the phone and say, "Hey, I just put in a work order that's really urgent. Could you take a look at it?" Maybe that would be a way to escalate. Well,
certainly, as soon as they create the work order, the manager's going to get an email. And if they add a comment to that, they're going to get another email. So if they keep adding comments, the manager's eventually going to have to do something.
Or picking up the phone and leaving a voicemail saying, "I just put in
an definitely.
urgent."
Oh, of course, yeah. And yeah, definitely. Okay, question, yeah.
The email notifications for the tasks, will they be different enough where you can set up watch folders? So like for this project, here's one folder, any tasks all go into my Outlook folder for this, be like in the names inside the body of the email. Will it be unique enough or no?
I believe so. Let me see if I can get this thing to send a notification to myself. It might take me a little bit of doing here. Let me log out. I believe so. I believe the answer is yes, because I think it's in the subject of. Now I'm not sure. I think in the subject it may say what the project was. But in any case, you can always, and I feel some people are already doing this, anything that's coming from work orders at online.ewtn.com, you can always send that to a special folder. I'll have to tell you what, just so we don't like get bogged down in the details here. I'm 50% sure that it might work like that already. But if not, we can do things like that. Okay. Other question? Yeah, question.
Do we only get notification if we are added as one of the people that's on this project?
That's correct. That's correct.
And if that means we have to be very careful about who we include on a project. If we get included on a project that we don't think we should be included on, do we tell the other manager?
Well, again, it's a very simple application so far, and you can't just arbitrarily include people on a project. Basically, and that's one of the things that are probably going to be coming up, because like I said, people are starting to use it now, and so they're saying, oh, I need to do this, and I said, well, it's not built in, it's not designed to do that, so we're going to have to do a few changes here and there. As far as including people on projects, the person that created the project will be automatically included in the project, and then that person has to, when you create a project, let's create a project now. I logged in as, I happen to log in as a worker, but let's just create a new project. And so this is my project, and let's say it's not broadcast related, so let's just give it a plain deadline. Let's just give it March 31st. You also have to enter a supervisor. So let's just say Jay Han. Okay? When you create the project, that project is associated with you and your supervisor. So both you and your supervisor, when they log in, they'll see that those projects are associated with them. Now, who else can be associated with that? When you create a task, and obviously these are the tasks that you can create. You can create a photo, print, promo, and so forth. When you create a task and that task gets assigned to somebody, then that person's associated with the project at that point. It's really more at that point, it's more of a task level, not the project. So if the task gets assigned, then that person will get an email, and you will get an email saying, hey, your task just got assigned. Okay?
Can we zoom in on the screen?
We can try. Is that a little bit better? Yeah. Okay, good. I have old eyes. All right. Okay, so as you can see, the areas that we have are photo. So you would, and this is the way the screen is currently designed. Again, it may change if people find it unfriendly, or if we find a better, more friendly way of doing things. And so right now you can open up these sections here. You can have photo requests, promo requests. There's two kinds. So under promo, you have to open up either promo or FMI, and so on. On-air graphics, there's just one kind of that. And web has 4 different things you can request. You can request a blog, a graphic, and the graphic could be just for a web page, or it could be a web page itself, so that would be a web request. And the way the application works is you have these listing screens. So right now there's nothing to list. Let me go to something where you can see something that's listed. Because this is really the basic navigation. You see a screen with a list of things. Each row in the list will have a link that says edit, show, and then if you want to see the details, you click on show. If you have the rights to do that, you can edit, and you can actually make changes to the details. So let me show you what that will look like from the other user's point of view. So did I sign up? Who am I? Okay, let's just go home here. Let's go home. Let's get rid of this. Okay, so notice in I am logged in as a worker. So I have this My Tasks bar down at the bottom. This stuff at the top is these things that you've requested, just like anybody else. But since you are assigned to a particular area, you also have this My Tasks that other people don't have. So this particular person has 1 photo request, 6 promo requests, and 1 on-air graphics request. Let's go to this screen here. If you go here, you see a list of the things that this person has in their queue, right? So if you want to see what the details are, you just go to show, and basically this should tell you what you need to know to complete the task. Question? Oh, I thought there was a question, sorry. Okay, one thing that we just recently added, because people were asking for some things that are not really built into the system yet, but if you go to the project name, which will be in every request detail screen, it'll take you to the project if you need to navigate to the project directly, so you can just go there and see what else is in that same project if you need to. So that's one way of finding out what other things are in the system. If you are a manager, then you'll be able to, let me log in as myself. What is my password? Okay, so if you are a manager, you see you get another listing. These are all the projects that the manager sees. The manager sees all the projects, not just the one that the manager requested, right? So the manager can go look and see, well, what's this project? Okay, this one has a promo request. You notice that I don't know if you can see this, at the right of the screen, this little icon here says there's something inside there. The others don't have anything, so you don't have to bother opening up and seeing what's in there. So if you want to, you can actually edit these requests. And different requests will have different types of forms. Let's go back and just show you real quick what an on-air graphics request form. That's my pride and joy because it's so complicated. It took quite a bit of doing. So if you create a new graphics request form, it's got everything in it that you can possibly think of. Actually, it's got everything that Maria could possibly think of. But so that's a certainly, yeah, let's try. So you've got all this is specific to this area. So you can have a title treatment graphic. You can have you can assign a producer and an editor. The graphic itself can have a name or a title and a subtitle, and so on. So all of these are things that you can add. You can even if there was something that Maria didn't think of, you can add it in here and say, oh, this is something Maria didn't think of, right? Okay. So this form is, like I said, they're all specific to the individual areas. Okay. Let's see, what else can we look at? I think, like I said, the navigation of it is just going to be that straightforward approach. You go in, you see a list of things, you select one by clicking Show, and then let's do one with that allows uploading things so we can see how that works. So let me zoom out a little bit so I can see where I am. So let's go back home. And as you can see, there's a lot of projects. That's one of the things that's coming up is a way to filter this out so that managers don't have to deal with all of these projects at the same time. But let me find, actually, I thought this project was in here. Let me see. Well, let's get rid of this, sorry. Doesn't. Yeah. Canterbury ad. I was looking for the search function in this browser, and I don't. 55. I see it. Okay, so it's got a print. Okay, so let's look at that. So anybody that can see this can actually. Oh, yes, thank you. Sorry. Let's make this bigger. Anybody can see this can see that can actually upload files to it. You notice that it already has two things uploaded to it. I could browse, find a file. Well, you probably don't want to upload this, but let's just upload that. And then if you're ready, just upload it, and it'll be attached to that work order. Okay. So that's one thing. Oh, yeah, the comments I was forgetting. Let's just do that. I wanted to find a project that we created just kind of a dummy project. Let me see if I can do this on internet.
That one you were just looking at is completed, so you can
can I?
you can poke at it if you want to.
All right. Okay. Let's do that then. And that was 55.
Number 55.
Right? Here it is. Okay. So, although, okay, somebody's going to get a notification if we do this, but that's all right. So if you click on the comments button at the bottom here, at the bottom here you have a comments button. That will actually, that's not going to work very well with the zoom here. But if you click on, let me zoom back out. If you click on the comments, that will pop up a little panel here on the right, and you notice there's nothing there because there's no comments. But you can say new comment. And I'm being very modest here. Okay, so now you have a comment, and you notice that if you can dismiss this, by the way, this might obscure part of the screen, so you can dismiss it and it'll go away. But you notice here at the bottom, now the comment says comments 1. So you don't have to open it up all the time to see what other comments. It'll show you how many comments there are. So if I add another comment, and let's just do. Let's do that. So now there's 2 comments, okay? And so they'll just show up as a list of comments. And if you need to, you'll have to scroll up and down to read them all, okay? But anytime anybody adds a comment, somebody's going to get an email, right? Now let me see if I'm not in the system, so I don't think I have an area. Let's see what this would be. I don't want to take up too much time on stuff like this, but let me dismiss the comments. Well, I wanted to show you what a comment looks like in the email. Let's see. I don't know if I'll be able to do that. So let me add myself to the print area. So let me just do that real quick. So I'm going to go into as an administrator and go to the users and make myself a member of the print area. So that means anytime somebody well, I'll see what that happens. And now I have to. I'll see if I can get to it. Let's go home. And I may have to do a little bit of. I'm going to go in as the other guy, the worker, and make a comment in that same one. Okay. So let me just get copy the URL and go to the other browser because I should be logged in as the other person. Okay, so let me zoom back a little bit and make another comment. Okay, so now notice that the comment, let me zoom in there, the comment is tagged by the time and date that it was made and the person that did it, that made the comment. And in addition to that, of course, you'll get an email. Let me see if I can see my email just real quick, but I'm not completely.
So Doriana's been getting all these comments?
There's a question.
So the worker assigned or the implementer was Doriana, so she's been getting all of your comments, all
I think
3
so.
of them?
Yes. So she's probably wondering what in the world is going on. But you notice that when you get the email has the comment itself as well as a link, so you can just click on the link and go directly to the task. And to answer your question, the answer is no. It's not specific to that project. It just says a task comment has been added. We can try to work that in if that is a necessary thing. Okay, and as I tell everybody, it's a work in progress, so it'll be changing over time. One thing though is that normally these kinds of systems, I shouldn't say that, but anyway, normally these systems are developed by companies. Well, here it's developed by one poor programmer. So we'll tackle these as most urgent first. So whatever people are having real trouble with, that's what we'll attack first. So if you don't get your pet request fulfilled, don't be offended. It's just that we don't have a lot of time. Okay, so let me just do one thing and click on the link here, and that takes you right to the thing. You notice that the comments are 3, and if you make the comment, it'll show up in one type, and if somebody else made the comment, it'll show it in italic. So just to distinguish them. Okay,
Eduardo, can
Chris.
we filter the list of tasks by department so we could just look and see, okay, this is my department?
It depends on who you are. If you're a manager, and that's something that's in the works right now. We're working on a way to filter them so that when managers log in, they'll see all the projects that have tasks in their area. So that will be the default view for them. If they need to, they can always say, click a button and say, well, I want to see everything. And we'll have a little function that allows them to type in the part of the name of a project, and it'll find them. And it won't matter which area it's in. It'll find it for them. So that part will be built in. Now, most general users, like requesters, will probably not need to see all projects. But again, we'll have to sit down and figure out what kind of access we want to give people in case they need to look for things. Like one of the questions was asked, can we see if we can share resources? If somebody's asking for this, could we also use it? That kind of thing. Or we might develop some kind of bulletin board system where we can say, these are the resources that have been developed for all these projects. Go here if you want to just browse through them and see if anything is of use to you. Because again, modifying the system, we'll do it very, very on a case-by-case basis, because there's going to be a lot of requests. Yes.
If you need let's say Michelle needs a photograph today, are you allowed to put in a due date of today?
Yes, yes. That's something that somebody complained about. It actually allows you to put in a due date of yesterday, which is not very nice. So we can add those kinds of safeguards. I'm assuming nobody would actually abuse that, or it would be a mistake, right? So, but then that's what the comments are for. And the manager will say, hey, we can't give this to you yesterday, so please be reasonable, that kind of thing. Another question?
Yeah, so this is pretty obvious, but so you can trade questions back and forth, like,
Oh, yes.
oh, can you make this in a fan instead of straight up and down, stuff
Certainly.
like that is
Certainly.
strict as comment
And
friendly.
the comments will be in the request itself. So you can always go back and review what the back and forth was. Okay. All right. Any other questions? Well, I just wanted to basically just mention a few things that we're working on, and you guys have provided a few other things that we might want to implement. One function that I have not yet implemented, and that's been requested, is for the implementer to change the status of a request. It's not going to be limited. You can't say, oh, somebody assigned this horrible thing, I don't want to do this, let's cancel it. So we're not going to do that, but the manager will give you a certain statuses that you can change it to. So most of the time it'll be like, okay, I'm done, it's completed, it's that kind of thing. All right, so that'll be a way of alerting the manager. Right now, the way the system is, it doesn't have this functionality, so you would just do it with the comments. You'd say, I'm done, please review, or whatever. And same thing for the requester, you'd say, okay, this request, we believe we've completed it, please review and make sure we've satisfied everything you were expecting, okay? And another thing that's going to be a major change, but I have a feeling that we need to do that. Right now, everything's based on projects, and the original idea was that you would create a project, you would have tasks in the project, that's all you would need. But I'm finding that people are requesting things like, well, I was assigned a task that's under a project, but I need to make a request myself for the stuff that I need for that task. So they want to be able to go to that project and add a task to that, which they can do now. But the problem is the project's owned by somebody else. So they can't look at the project easily. That's why we add that link, so now you can navigate to it. But if they add a task, they're not the owners of the project, so once they create the task, they can't make any changes at that point. So I want to make it a little bit more friendly for that. Is there a question? More?
Will projects and tasks ever be deleted once they're completed or archived?
They can be deleted, but managers typically will not do that. They will archive them. And once they're archived, you won't see them. And in fact, yes.
So let's say if I did something last year and I want to do the same thing this year, is there a way of copying that?
Yes. You will be able to, well, we'd have to discuss this among the managers and see what kind of functionality they want to provide. But right now, they can archive something, and if they want to, they can go find it and unarchive it so that you could actually, for instance, if you need to look at it so that you can see what you want to use and what you don't, they can unarchive it for you, and then you could make a new request, a new project with the new stuff. Yeah. But the intent, I think, is for managers never to delete anything. The only reason to have a delete function in the system is if somebody made a complete mistake. Like I created a project and somebody said, no, I already did that, so just delete. But that's probably the only time something's going to get deleted. If some project has tasks in it that have been assigned, it's intended to be there pretty much from then on. Okay. Okay. I think that's more or less, that's pretty much it, all I have to say. Really, the thing is for you to log in, create your account. If you run into any problems, let me know. And I'll do my best to help you register. I say there's always problems, like emails get swallowed by filters and stuff like that. So just let me know if you have any trouble. And managers, again, to remind you, when your people start creating accounts in the system, you have to go in and add them to your area. So you have to do that. Yes, another question.
Yeah, last one.
Okay.
Just to recap, if you're a requester,
Yes.
the only thing communication you're going to get is in the form of an email back and forth with the person the project's assigned to or the task is assigned to.
Yes, or you can just log into the system and see what your how your requests are doing.
Okay.
Like if let me see, I don't know who I am anymore because I think this was I think this might be the worker guy. No, this is the manager. Let me see if the worker's here. Let's just go. If not, we'll just log out. Okay, yeah, this is an implementer, and he made one request. So when he logs in, he sees the request he made. So he can always say, well, what's going on with this? So he can see, okay, well, I haven't made any task. I haven't added any task here. So you can always log in and see what you've done.
Okay.
And then, of course, you will get the emails. You should.
Thank you.
Okay. Another question.
So when we're seeing this in practice, if I'm a producer and I'm submitting a graphics request,
Yes.
I'm going to be communicating with Maria, who would be the manager, instead of communicating with the worker.
Correct.
And
Right.
it wouldn't be going from me to my supervisor, Steve Beaumont, to Maria to the worker. It would just go producer to Maria to graphics artist.
Although
Okay.
your supervisor will be on the project that you create, so he will know about it. But it's really from you to the supervisor, Maria, who will decide who to assign it to or whether to assign it to anybody. It might be a frivolous request. I'm sorry, just kidding.
It's
No.
never a frivolous request in
you're-
production.
So the manager will assign it to somebody, and then. But once it's assigned to somebody, anytime you make a request, a comment on that request, you'll be communicating directly with both the implementer and the manager. And they will, anytime they make a comment, you will see the comments.
Okay, so when I make a request, I'm not necessarily making a request to my manager. I'm making a request to somebody else,
Right.
whether that's web or
Exactly.
the art department. Okay.
Yeah, at least that's the way it's organized, yes. Okay. Well, with that, I wanted to show you my last slide, which was for questions. But anyway, with that, if you don't have any more questions, then what I encourage you to do is just go register and just let me know if you have any trouble with it. Thank you very much for coming.